Hello and welcome. Well, this video will be a bit different. I wanted to explain what a money burner means in horse racing, and we're going to take a look at the favorite in the Knicks Go Stakes at Churchill Downs on Saturday, and I'm going to explain why he's a money burner in horse racing. How do you identify a money burner when you're looking through the PPs, and you still use that horse in tickets? That's my idea for this video. Let's go ahead with it and talk about Dragoon Guard. Why is he a money burner? And we're going to talk about that right now. And I'm going to explain first what it means to be a money burner in horse racing in my own words. A money burner is a horse that constantly keeps losing at short odds. And we see in Dragoon Guard's career, he's usually the favorite. In his last two starts, he was the favorite, and he lost both times at Churchill Downs in the Cherokee Mile and at Colonial Downs in the Royal Kent Stakes. And before the Fayette, where he was 8-1, we can forgive him for that. He was the favorite in an optional claimer at Churchill Downs. He did win that race, but before that, he was the favorite in an optional claimer at Horseshoe Indianapolis, and he was second in that race at below even money. And then before that, on May 22, last summer, or last spring, I guess, he was second in an optional claimer at Churchill Downs, and he was below even money in that race as well. And he lost to a horse in this race named We'll Take It. We're going to take a look at him in a second. And before that, he was third in the Pennsylvania Derby as 5-2 favorite. This horse has lost a lot at short odds in his last 7 starts or so. And that is something you want to think about before you bet him in the Knicks Go Stakes on Saturday. This is a money burner. He constantly keeps losing at short odds, and once in a while he gets it done. But is it worth the bet? Most of the time he disappoints at short odds, so why would you even want to take the risk of him losing again at short odds? I mean, he might be a good underneath horse, but on top, this is usually the kind of horse you want to avoid. I get that some people want to protect their multi-race wagers, and they feel like they have to take him because his figures are good, he's consistent, but he keeps losing. And if you're doing a win bet or exacta or trifecta, and you're looking for horses on top, do you really want to trust this horse on top when you're doing a win bet, especially? I wouldn't. He's a money burner in horse racing. He constantly keeps losing at short odds, and he just keeps making the bettors think that next time is the time, and usually he fails to deliver, so this is a money burner to me. Here we have We'll Take It. He's 8-1 on the morning line. And kind of like Dragoon Guard, he has lost quite a bit in his recent form. I'm not going to be as hard on him, though. You see here, after the Hanshin Stakes, where he won over Banishing, his form kind of tailed off a bit. He was 6th in the ACAC. Okay, there were some expectations there, because he was coming off 2 big wins, and he was only 7-1 in that race. But then in the Breeders' Cup, when he was 7th, he was 46-1. So there were no expectations there for this horse to run well. And then in the Cherokee Mile, okay, this was kind of disappointing. He was almost single-digit odds. He was 11-1, and he was 8th by 8 lengths. And then in the Tenacious Stakes, he was 13-1, and he was 6th by 6 lengths. That was kind of disappointing, but again, he was double-digit odds. And then he won the 5th Season Stakes at 9-2? That field must have been weaker because suddenly he was single-digit odds again. So I'm guessing he wasn't facing much in that race, and he won the race. So after all those losses, he finally won a race again. And then in the Oakland Mile, he was double-digit odds again, so he must have been facing better horses. The expectations weren't as high as the 5th season, and he was 5th by 6.5 lengths. So We'll Take It. I know he's been losing a lot, but the expectations in some of these races weren't that high, especially the Breeders' Cup. And I don't know what happened to him. I thought he would go on to bigger and better things after winning over Dragoon Guard and Banishing, but it just hasn't panned out. And the public has taken notice because they aren't betting him as much as they did in the ACAC. And I can't be too hard on him because the expectations are not as high as Dragoon Guard, who keeps running as the favorite in most of his races. So let's get back to the original question. Is We'll Take It a money burner because he keeps losing? No, I would say not, because the expectations aren't as high. I said a money burner is a horse who keeps losing at short odds. And this horse usually isn't short odds, although he was 9-2 in the fifth season stakes. Usually he's double digits. Ever since he ran 6 in the ACAC, the public has not believed in this horse that many times, or just that one time in the fifth season. Is Will Take It a money burner? No, I would say not. He's not a money burner. We're going to look at one more horse, the Rail Horse, who has lost his last 2 starts ever since being transferred to a different trainer. You see here, Brother Kenny was 11th in the Pegasus World Cup, and then he was 6th by 14 lengths in the Pan American Stakes at Gulfstream Park. Okay, the Pegasus World Cup, first of all, I think you can forgive many horses for running poorly in that race, because it's usually an outlier for a lot of horses, and he was 64-1 in that race, and then he was 24-1 in the Pan American. Could you call this horse a money burner for losing in both races? No, you can't, because the expectations weren't there. Nobody expected this horse to win the Pegasus World Cup, and a few more people bet him in the Pan American, but still, the expectations were not that high, so you cannot call this horse a money burner. That label belongs to Dragoon Guard, because he keeps losing as the favorite. Again, he lost his last 2 starts as the favorite. He lost his start 4 back as the favorite. No, not 4 back, 5 back as the favorite. He lost to Will Take It as the favorite. He was 7th in the Fayette at single-digit odds. I would call this horse a money burner. That's what a money burner is in horse racing. A horse who keeps losing at short odds. This is the type of horse you usually want to avoid in horse racing. But I understand if people need to use this horse for their multi-race wagers. I would not bet this horse to win, though. I think it would be a bad bet, especially when the horse who beat him last time is in this race. Tour Player is in this race, and the horse who beat him 2 starts ago, Moonlight, is in this race as well. So why is this horse the favorite? And I have no doubt he'll be the favorite as well, because he keeps getting bet. And we're going to talk about my pick for this race. Number 4, BU, is 7-2 on the morning line. And I like this horse. I like the company he has kept in his past 2 starts. He won the Toboggan Stakes at Aqueduct over a horse called Doc Sullivan, who I believe is a good New York sprinter miler. And then in the Carter Stakes in April, this horse was a closing third to Point Doom. Book of Dano was second in that race, and we're going to take a look at that race right now. And Point Doom had easy fractions to work with. I know he's being pressured by Acoustic Avenue, but when a long shot is pressuring you, it's not as stressful. And you see Book of Dano moving up in the middle, and BU is on the outside. And again, the fractions were easy, 45-70 for the half. Point Doom had all the energy reserved, and Book of Dano is going to try to run him down, but he can't. BU is inching closer towards them, towards the wire. And I thought BU turned in a good effort, even though he couldn't quite close the gap here. I thought he turned in a good effort given the fractions. Point Doom had everything his own way. Maybe not everything his own way because he was being pressured by a long shot, but again, the fractions were slow. And if Book of Dano can't run down Point Doom in that race, then it must have been a hard scenario for the stalkers and closers. BU now stretches out to 1 mile. Can he handle 1 mile? Well, 3 starts ago on December 27, he technically won at 1 mile when Donegal Surges was disqualified. This horse was moved up to first, so he technically has a win at 1 mile. I did watch the race. Donegal Surges came out, and he interfered with BU, and that ruined his chances at getting the win the proper way. But BU, he should be able to get a mile based on his sire, Curlin. It's rare to see a Curlin that doesn't want to go 1 mile. And then you have Congrats as a dam sire. Maybe when he was younger, he didn't get the distance because he wasn't developed. That could be the case for his try in the Bluegrass back in 2024. And his maiden race the same year, it seemed like he didn't want to go a route, but maybe he just wasn't developed at the time. And now he came back. He's a more consistent horse. And it seemed like in that December 27 race, it seemed like he had no problem with the 1 mile until he was interfered with. Anyways, BU is my choice in this race. There's not a ton of speed in this race, but I think the fact that he's stretching out to 1 mile will allow him to sit closer. I know he didn't in that December 27 race, but maybe this will be different. He has John Velasquez on him. I'm sure he'll read the pace correctly. BU's my choice in the Knicks Go Stakes. Anyways, thanks for watching my video on how to identify a money burner in horse racing. And I had a bonus pick at the end, of course, with BU. And I'll try to be back next week with a recap of the Kentucky Derby.